Hey guys, enough said. Back with another video. Today we got a video from this counselor here. He's discussing about communication. Talking doesn't mean understanding. Here we go.
Doesn't mean that your partner is understanding. When I first got married, my wife told me one night, she said, Sean, I'm going to bed early. I left some food on the stove. Can you put it away before you go to bed? I said, sure. There are 4 pots on the stove. I go to the refrigerator, I make room, and I put each pot neatly into the refrigerator. I put the food away. She comes down the next day, goes to the refrigerator, sees that I put the 4 pots in the refrigerator, and says, why did you put the pots in the refrigerator? Because before you went to bed, you communicated, put the food away. I did what you said. When she told me to put the food away, what does she mean? Put the food in Tupperware. Wrap the food up in saran wrap. Put the food in aluminum foil. Wash the dishes. Be sure to empty the dishwasher. She said none of that. The point I'm trying to make is just because you're talking doesn't mean that your partner is understanding. You gotta be sure that you are being assertive. What do you feel? What do you need? What do you want? What do you desire? Your wife cannot read your mind. So you have to be assertive and break down for her. Here it is.
Bang.
That's really good.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And let's stick with the putting the food away thing. This video is specifically for our young couples.
Yeah.
Listen. Not everybody raised the same way.
Right.
Not everybody raised the same way. So when you come together as a married couple, she's bringing her upbringing no matter what it was like, and he's bringing his upbringing no matter what it was like. There's different levels to everything.
Yeah.
And what I find a lot, especially in younger couples, when they first get together, there's a level of frustration there because you don't do things the way I want them done. And a lot of this carries on for years. I've had couples who married 15, 20 years still having the same problem they had when they were in year one because nobody's really talking about it. So my idea, one of the things that we talked about early on, my idea of cleaning a bathroom is different than her idea of what a clean bathroom is. So I would think I'm going to clean the bathroom up, and I think I did a good job, and then I walk back in there and she's like up under the toilet doing something, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm cleaning the bathroom, you missed the spot. I'm like, what? That's a deep cleaning. I just clean the bathroom. No, that's how I clean the bathroom. Differences. And this is like he said, to put his idea of putting food away was putting the whole pot in the fridge. And so some people, that's the way they were raised. If they think, like I've been to people's houses, open the fridge, there's a whole pot in there. No, like that's what we buy Tupperware for. But not everybody's raised the same way.
Right.
And so these little things that you think are small can really grow into really big things in a marriage. Because a lot of times people do not know how to communicate. So that when there's a lack of communication, there's always a level of frustration. And so when you get frustrated, then you tend to act out in that frustration.
I like what he was saying on the other side of that is, okay, if I'm the wife and I'm saying, hey, can you put the food away? I'm going to bed early. Can you just put the food away? I like what he was saying was being assertive and asking, being proactive really is what I call it, and asking those questions. Okay, when you say put the food away, what do you mean by that? And really putting your partner on, like, what do you mean what I mean? Like, no, tell me how are you expecting this to be done? So that way I'm clear. That comes with practice. You're not going to do that year one. I mean, that we didn't talk like that in the beginning. In the beginning it was, hey, can you put the stuff up? Okay, cool, I got it. Hey, why didn't you do this? Well, I don't know. I thought you said do this. But as you mature in your relationship and you mature in your communication style, you learn how to ask good questions. And that's just not within the marriage relationship. That's any relationship, on your job, with your children, with friendships. Learn to ask really good questions when it's not clear. Again, that takes practice. And in the beginning, give grace, because that's not something that's going to be natural unless you grew up in an environment that is conducive to that.
On top of that, you got to look at the level of severity also.
Yeah.
A lot of people will get so frustrated with the fact that the husband didn't put the food away the way I want him to put it away. But the food got put away. It didn't spoil overnight.
That's
You got to be careful to not make a mountain out of a molehill.
Pick your battles.
That's husbands and wives. You got to pick your battles. Is it really worth it?
That's right.
Is it really worth it to have a disagreement over the fact that you didn't put the food away the way I want you to put the food away, because the food got put away, and that's the ultimate goal was met. And so even though it may seem like a small thing, I'm telling you, these are huge things for people, because everybody has a certain way in her mind. when she told him to put the food away, she had a litany of things that should have been done.
Right.
And she
had a
woke
list.
up the next morning to a litany of things that didn't get done. So that can really cause some problems there. And he's sitting there like, hey man, I did what you asked me to do. It's okay to have that disagreement, but it's not okay to continue to beat somebody on the head with something.
That's right.
And a lot of times, a lot of couples will get frustrated because they'll say, I'm tired of repeating myself. Well, if you're repeating yourself, you're not getting your message across. Either A, that you're not getting your message across, or B, the other person doesn't care to hear the message. So if that is the case, you got to figure out which one of those is, and maybe a mixture of both, and you got to meet somewhere in the middle. Because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get on my hands and knees and scrub up under a toilet all day long. Maybe that's not something that your partner wants to do.
Yeah.
Maybe you say, hey, I'll take care of the bathroom.
Yeah, like that'll be my thing.
You're really good at vacuuming floors. Can you vacuum?
There you go.
And then everybody's happy. She ain't pissed off.
Problems off.
He's over there doing what he needs to do, and
That's
it
right.
gets done, and the home is running efficiently and smoothly. It's not about beating somebody over the head and beating them into submission into doing things the way you want them to do. It's about you're better at this, obviously, or you have a certain standard that you want to meet, and I'm not either A capable or B have the willpower to do it. And so it's okay. But the problem comes in is that you will see where it's an unbalanced power dynamic.
Yeah.
Where I'll use cleaning as a thing because ladies, this is something they complain about. Well, she ends up cleaning everything, and he's like, "Hey, you want it done that way? I ain't trying to do it that way." Well, you gotta meet somewhere in the middle.
Compromise.
You gotta compromise because if you have a tired wife or a tired partner, is no partner at all. You're not going to get the best out of them. It's going to cause problems. So it's very important that we communicate properly and fully in a relationship. And if you ever get to the point where you think your partner can read your mind, you're a fool. You're a fool.
No.
It's not fair to that person, and it's not fair to the relationship for you to get mad because somebody didn't read your mind.
Can I add, when you're having that clarity conversation, let's say it's the situation where, okay, hey babe, can you put the pot, can you put the food away? I'm going to bed early, not feeling well, whatever. And I come back down the next morning and I see that the 4 pots are in the fridge. That clarity conversation can go one of two ways. It can go really well, or it can crash and burn. And a lot of times when we're coaching couples, we find that, a lot of times y'all think you're going to have the argument in the moment. Sometimes it ain't in the moment when you have the argument. It's when you come back and circle around and you have a clarity conversation, which should be a clarity conversation, but really it's a conversation to bash or dish your partner. What I mean by that is, why you put the pots away? Why didn't you put the food away properly? Be careful how you come and talk to your partner. Don't be talking greasy and reckless, and be careful. There's a way to say it. There's a way to address an issue and talk about things without coming at them a certain way, and they get defensive, you get defensive, and now you've got an argument. You didn't argue when the situation happened, but now when you're circling back around, now it's a full-on argument because you simply did not know how to communicate. Hey, sweetheart, when I said, can you put the food away? Can we talk about...
Or they let it build up.
Yeah, and they get frustrated and boom.
So she wakes up the next morning, sees the pots in the fridge, this food and even putting stuff away.
That's another one.
And she doesn't say it, she just does it, right?
Yeah.
Puts it away. Then here comes a few weeks later, he decides, hey, I see the food out, I'm gonna put the food away because I'm a good husband, right? He does the same thing. He puts the pots back in the fridge. She wakes up in the morning, and then boom, World War III. And he's sitting there like, yo, I did this a few weeks ago. Why you losing it? Well, y'all didn't like the way you did the first time. Well, you didn't communicate that.
That's right.
You didn't communicate that. And so that
happens
all the time. Both sides of the house.
Yeah.
This example happens to be female, but it happens on both sides of the house.
Both sides, yeah.
And now he's sitting there like, why are you screaming and yelling? I did this, or I've been doing this for weeks or months.
And then he's like, then you do it.
Yeah. And
don't worry about it. You put it away.
Yeah. So it's so much that these little situations happen in marriage, and people get so frustrated. And these people literally will hit divorce court over things, over a simple lack of communication, a simple inability to communicate. There's so many things that could be prevented if people just knew how to communicate. But once again, communication is not an inherent human thing. People think that talking is an inherent human thing, but communication is way more than just talking.
It's very advanced. It's complex.
It's very complex. It's body language. There's so many other things that go into it. A lot of
skills to be learned.
Yes, and you have to be a student of communicating with your partner. If you think that you're just going to be status quo your whole life and then walk into a marriage and continue that same communication style with the person that you're married with, you might be surprised that you have a whole lot more arguments going than you do peace.
And you better start watching these rom-coms and dramas and reality TV that show y'all how poorly to communicate.
Tone, tenor, and audience matters.
Everything.
Time, place, all that stuff matters. So I think this was a great video. Well, with that, that's enough said.